Hi, I'm Allison with Be the Change Yoga. And in our 200-hour and 300-hour yoga teacher training programs, we emphasize the importance of Vinyāsa Krama. Well, what is Vinyāsa Krama? It can loosely be translated to baby steps or wise progression. That we take these little steps starting with simple movements and gradually moving towards deeper and more complex movements. So I've taken classes, many classes in the past, where we immediately move into up dog as the first back bend. And so we want to take it down several notches, recognizing that up dog is a very deep back bend. We want to start with something smaller. So I'm going to give you an example of how I can use Vinyāsa Krama in preparation for up dog. So let's think about that back bend. In up dog, we're pressing away from the floor, the arms are straight, we're pulling our body forward and the thighs are actually up and off the floor. So one, it is a big back bend, but two, we want to think about opening up the front of the body in preparation for this big back bend. So we can start on our hands and knees coming into a tabletop position. Lining the wrists under the shoulders, the knees under the hips, and maybe taking a few cat-cows, lifting the heart as you inhale, rounding as you exhale. This is always a nice starting point to start to warm up the spine. And maybe you do a handful in and out. You can invite some extra movements there if it feels good. And typically when I'm introducing some more gentle back bends, I usually start with a Sphinx pose. So the simplest way to get on the floor is to drop the forearms down, inch them forward, coming down onto the belly into that Sphinx pose. We're gently pulling the heart forward, melting the shoulders down away from the ears. And you can do that same cat-cow here. Maybe you exhale as you round your spine and inhale as you pull the heart forward. And you can flow in and out like that a couple times. You might even play with starting to bend one knee and the other at a time, starting to open up the hip flexors. So think about in our back bends, we're trying to strengthen the back of the body and stretch open the front of the body. If your back is okay with it, maybe you bend both knees, give a little swish. This is just an option you can take. And then I bring the hands under the shoulders. I push back up into my tabletop, give a little rock, swish out. There's lots of things you can add here. So now I want to focus on opening up the shoulders. So I might walk the hands in towards my knees and come up to stand on the knees. So I'll just turn my body so I'm facing you. And we're going to inhale, float the arms up. And exhale, bend the elbows, open up through the chest. A couple times, inhale, take it up. Maybe you're gently pressing the hips forward. Exhale, back and down. You can play with both arms together. Maybe you do one at a time, like you're doing a little backstroke. Or maybe you start to take some cactus arms so you can bend the elbows and inhale, open the chest. And exhale, gentle curl. So the emphasis is to open up my pec muscles here. Inhaling as I open. And exhale, curl. And we come to neutral, letting the arms relax, and I can come back onto my hands and knees. So last time I dropped the forearms down, this time I might stay on my hands, shift my weight forward, and take a modified chaturanga, lowering down onto my belly. Now with the hands under the shoulders, inhale, pull forward and up into a cobra. Exhale, lower in and out. So we really focus on flowing in and out, especially at the beginning of the practice, dynamic movement to warm up the body. Maybe each time you lift a little higher. You can even play with reaching the arms back, maybe clasp the hands behind you, opening up the front of the body a little bit more. You could play with lifting the legs up. So you just see over time, I'm inching up a little bit higher, nothing is rushed. And exhale, lower down, push back up into your tabletop. Give it a little swish side to side. And then perhaps you add a couple lunges. So in our lunges, as we're rocking the weight forward, we're opening up the back thigh. And like we did when we were kneeling, you can take those big circles again, whether you're moving the arms together or apart. But it's just noticing that I continually repeat this kind of movement so that by the time I get into up dog, it feels good. Like that's the point. Like if we rush into some of these bigger poses too quickly, it's not going to feel comfortable in the body. And we're always looking for comfort. You release the hands down, back into your tabletop, swish it out. And the same thing on the other side. Bringing the hands to the thigh, you rock the weight forward, opening up into that back hip flexor, and then starting to invite movement. Again, you can take that cactus position, flowing in and out, backstroke kind of movement, both arms moving together, taking several breaths, finding what feels comfortable in the body, and exhale, release back into your tabletop. From here, the next progression, so I went from a Sphinx to a Cobra with the option to take a Locust. Now I'm going to move into a modified up dog. So in the modified up dog, my thighs are still going to be down, but I'm going to use the blocks to help me with this. So from a tabletop position, I'm bringing my hands on the blocks, wrists onto the shoulders, and I'm going to flow in and out. So as I exhale, rounding back into my child's pose, extended child's pose. On an inhale, I shift forward, bring my hips towards the blocks as I'm pulling my heart forward. Exhale, rocking back. Inhale, rocking forward. We always want to come into our back bends on an inhale. You can flow back and forth there. If it feels comfortable to hold this modified up dog, you can hold, maybe you look over one shoulder and then the other. And I always like to give my students a lot of freedom to find what feels best to them, because I can't tell them what feels good to them. They have to find it for themselves. And then eventually, I can get rid of the blocks and we can progress towards up dog. So if I'm teaching a full class, usually up dog doesn't come in until about like 20, maybe 25 minutes into the class, because I'm incorporating a lot of different things into the flow. But for this particular video here, we're focusing specifically on the back bend. Now, to get into up dog, usually I come into it from chaturanga. So I might incorporate a couple of modified push-ups, exhale down, inhale up, just start to build that strength of chaturanga. So that could be woven in through the flow, just so chaturanga doesn't come as a surprise. And then when you're ready, you come into your plank, you shift forward onto your toes, exhale, lower chaturanga, you pull forward and up into up dog. So again, in up dog, the only things touching the floor are the hands and the feet, taking several breaths if comfortable. And then on an exhale, you might lift up and back into a down dog, pedal the heels, shake it out. And you might take several rounds of that, or maybe you're done and you come into a child's pose. So thinking about if you've built up to a lot of back bends, you want to take time to counter that with forward folds. So remembering as a teacher, we want to build our students properly into the bigger asana with Vinyāsa Krama, baby steps, starting with smaller, simpler movements, thinking about what you need for that particular asana, and gradually building into more complex, deeper things. You will find that your students will be much more successful in their practice, and they're going to feel better in their body when we take these gradual steps. Thank you for joining me.